All right, you guys, welcome to tonight's class. I'm excited you guys are here. Tuesdays seem to be a really great night to be able to catch people, but as always, our classes are recorded and you'll be able to find them on our YouTube channel or also in our Good Vibes Facebook page for our VIPs. So anyhow, you guys, tonight we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things to do, and that is to entertain. I love nothing better than to have a bunch of people gathered around a table, having fun, chit-chatting, and just, or, whether it's around a table, outside at a barbecue, in the mountains, picnic table, you name it, it's always fun to get people together. The other thing that I love to do is be able to enhance any one of my recipes or the different, cocktails or mocktails or spa waters or whatever it is that I want to bring to an event or when I'm entertaining, I always have a counter full of really delicious food, and I guarantee you that they are spiked with essential oils. Okay, so this was a really fun gathering that we did not too long ago, and I want you to just take notice of how many different things on the counter have the little cards, and every single thing there had an essential oil either cleaned with it, added to it, or in the dip. There are so many different ways that we can use them. And what I love most, you guys, is it gives it a really great flavor boost. Something even better than you can get at the grocery stores or from your herbs and different things. It seems like more and more food doesn't taste like it used to. Would you guys agree? Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. All right, so just to kind of go over this picture just really quick, we have super mint brownies. So Diane is here with us tonight, and every time she is invited to an event, people are like, you're going to bring your brownies. You're going to bring your brownies. And now she's not only bringing her super mint, sometimes she'll use peppermint, she uses super mint. She has an amazing recipe, and the last time she came to an event, she brought gluten-free and regular brownies. So it really does serve for everyone, and there's nothing like it. People are always grabbing them and gobbling them right down. A couple of other things that I want to highlight here before we go on is you'll see the fruit tray. So what I love about taking my fruit is I will take I've got a farmer's sink, so it's one big sink, and I will put the stopper in there, and then I'll just put all of my different fruits in there at the same time. I make sure I cover them with plenty of water. I rinse them off pretty good. One of the tips that I saw from a friend recently is she left her berries in the little plastic containers. Now, I do put essential oils and On Guard cleaner and different things like that into the water to help clean off all of the dirt and grime and chemicals and plastics and things that are on those. So just be mindful of that. But I thought it's really great because she was able to keep them separate without, for me, it's like I've just dumped everything in there and then it takes a while to wash it and separate it. So that's just a great little tip. I love using our just On Guard or lemon. I know we'll put a little bit of baking soda in the water sometimes. And you guys, if you'll just fill it up with water, let it sit, kind of mix it around a little, you will be surprised at how dirty and how much stuff comes off of pre-washed fruit and vegetables. All right, so for that same tray, one of my favorite things to do is to take limes. So it doesn't matter if you have green grapes, red grapes, whatever color of grapes. I will clean them really good. And then once they're all clean, then I cover them with water, and then I'll add a couple of drops of essential oil to the water, and I kind of stir it around a little bit just so that that essential oil is infused into the grape. Now, one of my all-time favorites is purple grapes with lime oil. I know some people will put lemon with it, and really what it does, it just gives it that extra burst of flavor, keeps them really nice and fresh, and you know that it's adding essential oil benefits too. Now, I also do a lot of apples. So one of the other things that I'll do is I do the same thing. I wash the apple really good, then I cover it in water in a bowl, and then I'll add essential oil to it, stir it around really good, rinse it off, and then serve it. During the winter season, I always use On Guard because it helps to boost our immunity and give us all those other special benefits. Plus, it has that cinnamon spice, and everything nice in that flavor. Now, during the summertime, what I'll do is sometimes I'll use lemon, Or my husband actually likes cinnamon oil and lemon in his. So we'll just kind of, change it up for whatever we feel like doing something different. But I love knowing that we can get that extra bit of essential oils in our fruits and vegetables. Okay, you'll also see here in the middle of the page 2 containers that are dips. Now, in these dips, one of them has the wild orange. So one of my favorite recipes is to take pretty much equal parts. Now, if you guys hang out with me very much, I'm not real good at measuring out each recipe perfectly. It's like a little bit of this and a dash of that. And so what I like to do is I'll take the whipped cream cheese and Cool Whip, and I'll usually do about equal parts. So I'll mix that up really good, and then I'll just flavor it with essential oil depending on what we're trying to accomplish. So wild orange is always a favorite. I have a lot of friends who love to use Citrus Bliss because it has that creamy orange vanilla, kind of like a dreamy creamsicle flavor to it. And then in this picture, we also have tangerine. What's great is people can just take a little bit of it and, dip their fruit and vegetables into it. You could also use that as almost like a dressing and just use a little bit of it and kind of coat a bunch of different fruit together. Like I think of like a Waldorf salad. So just as we're talking about recipes tonight and different ways to spice up your entertainment, guys, you guys take snapshots of the pictures and add in the comments, and at the end of class we will be sharing a time when I hope you guys all have things that you can share with us. And I think the rest of this stuff we're going to talk about as we go. All right, here we go. So we are not the same. I've got a couple of things that I want to cover before we get going into our recipes and our more detail. Is a lot of times I'll hear people say, oh yeah, doTERRA is just like all the other essential oils. And what people think is that when you go to the grocery store and you find a bottle of essential oil and it says 100% pure, what they don't tell you and what they don't have to tell you is what else is in the bottle. So in order for it to have 100% pure oil, it only has to have 6%, which is about 6 drops of pure essential oil in the bottle, and the rest can be anything that they want. What I find really interesting is what they do have to put on the bottle is it's not safe to ingest, it's not safe to use topical, and that just always brings up the question to me is like, what's been added to something like lemon that would make it so we couldn't ingest it or use it? And so, by the time, if they're taking things and they're changing them and they're trying to chemically alter them or create something from, their magic potion, and that's where they're going to get those essential oils that are not safe to take internally. So I really want to remind you guys that this class is all about doTERRA. When I talk and teach and educate, it is in reference to doTERRA essential oils only, because this is the one that I know is tried, true, and I love. I've been with them for a very long time, and I trust all of the process and making sure they're safe. Now we can know that, just like in this picture, you can see a bowl of Fruit Loops, and a lot of times people will claim things like, oh, it's got real fruit in it. You guys, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the misinformation that can be printed on the box. More curious is what's not on the box, or what are all of those, things that they've got as an ingredients that you can't even read. So ours is like not the Fruit Loop. It's like having the fresh fruit in our bowl, and we're able to use it and consume it in all kinds of different ways. We can use our oils aromatic, topical, and internal. So what the difference is also is there's no fillers, there's no synthetics, there's nothing that's been added to it to change the natural chemistry of the plant itself. We test over 54 different ways to make sure that it is pure and it is potent, and that it is something that we can recommend to other people. So always make sure a couple of things. Number one, if you're ever getting a bottle of doTERRA from someone else, heaven forbid, that you go on Amazon or a yard sale or something like that, if you crack open that bottle and you bought it from a third party, you never know what's been added to the bottle or what's been taken out of the bottle, because you can buy those little screw tops, that click right back on. So always buy and from your source that is something that you can trust. Okay, one of the most asked questions is, are they safe to ingest? I was just with somebody that has a nutrition store here in our town, and she was saying how, she's been in the business for 30 years. Her mom's been there for 45 years, and she said, it's so scary to see all of the products that have been natural and have been good and have been wholesome now are being purchased by companies, like the big pharma, Johnson and Johnson. I probably shouldn't list Johnson and Johnson, and gosh, she listed off a few of them, and even like I remember when I own a gift store, for those of you guys who don't know, and when I first started business, one of the things I loved most about it was finding real natural products that we could trust, that there weren't a bunch of chemicals in there. So we bought one, Burt's Bees is one that you guys are probably familiar with, and for years and years I loved it. I sold it. I would talk about it to everyone, and people knew to come to me for it. Well, years later, the gentleman who started the company had passed away, and he left his company to his grandson with a part of it that said he could not resell it to somebody that would change their original recipes and formulas or adulterate it. And it wasn't him, but it was who he sold it to that then sold Burt's Bees to Clorox. And just as somebody who watches labels and knows some of the different things that are in the market for sale, they're not things that you can always trust. Just because it has a great name and had for a long time doesn't mean that it's still that way. So I love doTERRA, that it's not only safe to ingest, but a lot of times it's recommended to take internally depending on what the symptom is that your body is dealing with. doTERRA is definitely different, and I think if you took a poll on all the people who are here with us tonight, you would be able to realize and be able to understand also and hear their testimonies that it is different. And this is stuff that you want to make sure that they are safe to ingest, and if you see right here on the left hand side of the bottle, you can see that it has the supplement facts on there, so that's all you need to look for to know that you can use them to ingest, which means we're going to be talking about a lot of recipes tonight where you can use them to make different mocktails and cocktails and things. Now this screen, you guys, I'm going to just kind of skip through really quick because you guys are welcome to take a screenshot. We talk about a lot of how it is affordable, how they do multiple different tests on it, how that it's effective on our cells, and it gives us much more than that flavor boost and things that we're talking about tonight. But it actually has a lot of really great benefits for our cells, for our bodies, for our organs. And the way that I love it is because we go to the natural origin to source our plants, and that's why they are more potent, and there really is nothing else like it on the market. Okay, so here's a real quick screenshot of baking and cooking and using essential oils in your recipes. Now, I use them. I have a special rack that I leave right on my kitchen counter where people can come and grab. And then I have all my other essential oils in a box that's real close to my spice cabinet. And what I have found that anytime I can replace a spice, an herb, or a citrus with an essential oil, I always do. Not only do I not have to worry about them, cutting them and chopping and chopping and chopping, but I don't have to worry about if they've been, contaminated by something that's been in the grocery store or different chemicals and things like that. If you're living in an area like we do, we are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and so a lot of times our spices and different things will go bad before we have a chance to actually use them. Now, it is the garden season, depending on where you're watching this, but if you're watching this live with us or watching the replay within a reasonable amount of time, you'll know that, a lot of people have their gardens, and you guys, I support that 100%. Is what seeds you're putting into the ground, the way that you're cleaning them, that you're keeping chemicals and things off of them, so you can trust that those are things that you can use in your recipes. For me, it's like we have a really short growing season, and it's very difficult because of our water to grow much around here. So I depend on my essential oils for our flavor and for cooking. Now you'll see here that when you're using them, 1 drop might be too much for a recipe. So with this, there's an idea to take the lid off of the bottle, and you'll just take a toothpick and you'll dip it down into the essential oil, bring it back out, and swish it through your recipe. Now, in many cases, if you're making lemonade or pasta sauce or a dip for, vegetables, you only need a little bit. And so these ratios here are really beneficial. One thing I know from personal experience is if you get too much, it really is too much. So just like when we're talking about using essential oils for our health, we always practice less more often. It's so much easier to start with a little and then to add more. So one of the tips that I have for you guys right now is if you're making a recipe and you're not sure and you're worried about getting too much oil into the recipe, I'll drop it onto a spoon and then I'll take the edge of a spoon or a knife or a fork or something and I'll dip it in there and then I'll swish it through the recipe. But if you know me, I love lots of flavor, so hardly ever do I have too much. Okay, this flavored water. So while we're here, this has got a lot of information on here. So whether you're just wanting to add some lemon to your water, one of my favorite things right now is to take our strawberry recharge, and then I have another kinetic, which is a green tea supplement, and I'm putting those together in a large bottle of water, and then I'm adding a little bit of lemon oil to it. You guys, I shake it up and it's so good. I absolutely love the flavor, which when we're using something that we love, we're adding it. Not only does it have digestive benefits, but it will also have different things like helping our cells to, be clean and clear. And, then if we're drinking more water, it's hydrating us. It's flushing out all the things that need to be flushed and taken away. So, gosh, the sky is the limit on what you can create when you're adding essential oils to your beverages. So whether it's, like you've already got maybe some spa water, which we're going to talk about in just a second, where you can take large containers of water. Sometimes I'll take, a really large gallon mason jar and I'll slice lemons and limes and orange, and I'll just do nothing but, and that is just for the look and the aesthetics part of it, because then I'm also adding the essential oil. So what I like to do when I'm making water is I'll add the essential oil to the water first. I stir it up really good, and then I add the slices of the fruit. And the reason I do it that way instead of the opposite is because if I am flavoring water for multiple people for a party or a gathering of some kind, that essential oil could go straight into the fruit where it would stay. So we want it to get into that water. And I really don't squeeze a lot of the rinds and stuff into the water unless the recipe calls for it. I want to also introduce you to doTERRA's blog. If you have not gone to their blog yet, they have a plethora of recipes, whether it's for seasonal, holiday, cleaning, cooking. They have a ton. So you just go to doTERRA.com/blog and you'll be able to find it. You can also search that in your website. Okay, so spa water. I kind of talked about this. There's nothing more refreshing than going for a massage or going to some kind of a treatment, as facial or a pedicure, and them having a great big thing of fresh water with, different flavors in it. I think it's refreshing. It's so much fun. I also like to make what I call spa water when I have gatherings, especially if it's, during the day for, a birthday party or there's a lot of people there, young kids and things. And so one of my favorites is I'll take a large container. You guys remember I said I don't really measure, but I'll take, I think it's about 3 gallons, and I'll put some sparkling water in there. I also add coconut water and then a little bit of ginger ale. And I love doing this. I will slice up limes and cucumber, and then I'll have fresh mint. Just a little bit, just so that you can see it. It kind of gives it a great little spa-like look. And then I mix it up and I add lime essential oil to it and ginger oil. Then I stir it up really good. You guys, every time I serve this, people absolutely love it. Now, once in a while, like for the holidays, I'll add frozen cranberries to it, so it gives it that little holiday green and red cheer. But you guys, it's so easy to make and it's delicious. Now on the bottom here, I added some of the essential oils that you could make different kinds of spa water. So the reason I add a little bit of ginger ale, now you can use things like 7-Up or you can make your own simple syrup. There's so many different ways that you can, sweeten it. Some people don't want a lot of sweet in the water. I prefer, if I'm drinking my big thick glass of water or even in my coffee in the mornings now, I'm only using essential oils. I'm not using any kind of sweetener. Now, some of the ones you may or may not think about when you're adding water or oils to your water might be fennel. You guys, lavender and fennel together make a really great, very refreshing like tea or spa water. You could put bergamot, fennel, and lavender in there and kind of have like an Earl Grey type experience. Now, this is something that I'm talking, this is all refreshing and you would serve this over ice and stuff, but there's no reason why if you're having, maybe book club or you're having a bunch of women coming over or friends and family for an evening, maybe it's around the fire, you could always make this into more of like a hot tea. Supermint is very good. Another one of my favorites when I go to the spa is cassia and grapefruit. And you guys, anytime you're using the hotter ones like the cassia, the ginger, make sure you're really stirring that water up good when you first blend it. And then that way it's not sitting up on the top. You guys, and with like the ginger and the grapefruit, you could put a couple of slices of grapefruit in the water. You could add maybe a couple of the big cinnamon sticks. And again, that's just for the looks of it. It's not for the flavor because you're going to get all of that flavor from the essential oils that you choose. Okay, so here is a recipe for an essential simple syrup. So you guys, it's so easy to make, and I know a lot of people, instead of using sugar, they'll use agave nectar, or they'll use maple syrup, or they'll use like a local honey. And then I want you to remember that when you're using essential oils, again, start with less. You can add more as you go along, but really, it's what flavor do you want? And if I'm adding my simple syrup to, say, some sparkling water or some for hot tea, or maybe I'm adding a little bit to lemonade or something, then I'm going to make sure I'm adding extra of the essential oil so there's a little bit more of a flavor boost because I'm using less of that sweetener. And then you just, you put the sugar and the water in a saucepan and you can just stir it and kind of bring it up to a warm. You don't want to boil it and keep it boiling because it'll turn into a candy. But yeah, you'll just sit there and you'll melt it down basically, and then you can put it in a special little container. Now this is something that, thinking outside of the box, you could do something similar to this with like a creamer. The sky's the limit, you guys. And at the end of class, maybe we've got some people on here who can share some of their favorite recipes for entertaining. Okay, so flavor boost. So a lot of times I will use ice cube trays, and I'll put so I will take the fruit and I clean it really, really good and add the essential oil in like a water bath, like I told you guys at the very beginning. That infuses the essential oil flavor into the fruit. Then I can pour that into an ice cube tray and let it freeze, and then you can put those in your drinks as people come over. So say you're just doing like a sparkling water with pretty ice cubes in it, and it's just going to have a little hint of, say if you put raspberries and you could put lemon, so you'd have like a little raspberry lemonade. Now on the right hand side, there are so many different ways you guys can use this. Now most of these recipes I think call for lime, but I want you to keep in mind that tangerine, clementine, green mandarin, grapefruit, lemon, there are so many oils that you could change and move out of, and exchange or replace them for whatever it is that you're trying to create. I look at this carrot orange mango smoothie and I'm going, I would love to have some ginger in there. Like, I think ginger would just be a really, really great flavor, really great taste. So I hope you guys have taken a little screenshot of this, because we're not going to go through each one of the photos or recipes just because we'd be here for a long time. But, you know, fruit punch, green smoothie, gosh, people are making slushies right now. You could also take these things and, you know, make it into your juice or your drink, put it in the freezer. When kids are ready to come over, you could just, you know, take and break it up really good, turn it into a slushie. That would be delicious. And really a fun thing that you guys could do together. Okay, this one is add a simple twist to your lemonade. So up here in the right-hand corner, you guys, I'm just going to point out that, you know, when go to a restaurant or you go out to a cocktail party or something, a lot of times they'll bring you your ice water and they'll bring a little lemon wedge on the side of it. Long ago, as a waitress, I pretty much made a pact with myself that I wouldn't be using lemons on the side of a glass anymore after I saw some of the handling that happens with them. But people who know me know that a lime squeeze is something that I will use, but I always have my essential oils with me on the go. I travel with people like Diane and Tammy, and they always have, you know, this little keychain full of essential oils that we can add to things to give it that little flavor boost on the go. And it's really awesome. So lemonade. So let's talk about a lot of different times when I've been entertaining. Like you can see here, there's a lemonade. There's more like a strawberry looking lemonade and then more of a clear one. Well, you guys, you take your base and you could have your pictures all sitting there. And then what I like to do is give like either a recipe card out in the front that'll say different combinations that people can try. Or, you know, just I'll have a selection there where they can kind of spike their own drink with whatever they want. Now, if I have a large gathering and I've only got one drink and that's really the purpose of it, then I will already have put those oils in there. But I think if you're, you know, you've got little kids or you've got teenagers, I ran into a friend who was buying a bunch of snacks and things at the grocery store, and she's filling her cart up with stuff. And I'm like, either you're going to a ball game or camping. And she goes, no, we're doing a yard sale. My kids, I'm teaching them how to raise money. And so they're going to do their own little lemonade stand. And, you know, she had all the stuff where they could have different varieties and different choices. And I thought, what a great way to be able to add a little extra special something with the citrus oils. Okay, now this one is sparklers. So the recipe here talks for wine, but you can make your own spritzer or sparkler. And you know, how many of you guys are drinking like I think they call it muddy water or Italian sodas? There's so many different versions of drinks. And you know what, to be quite honest with you, they are jam-packed with sugar. Dyes, coloring, you know, red dyes, all of this artificial stuff. And then we're wondering why our kids are, you know, not able to concentrate or bouncing off the walls and all the other things. So I just want you guys to kind of decide today that you're going to just make a wait, where could I, you know, cut back on the sugar and the artificial sweeteners and coloring and add something that's a little bit more healthy. So I love this sparkler that's shown on the top left because it's got watermelon. And you can get really fancy and cut it into shapes, or I like to be able to, you know, scoop it out with a melon baller, and then you can freeze those. And when you put them into the cocktail or the mocktail, then it actually adds that coolness, and instead of having ice where it's going to water it down. Now, again, you guys, this shows watermelon and blueberries, but what's to say that you didn't make it with watermelon, blueberries, and wild orange? Or tangerine, or you could really mix those up. You could take, instead of blueberries or blackberries, you could put raspberries and strawberries. And then on the other side, I want you to just consider, if you want to add something a little special, you know, make it a little bit different, add just like a club soda or a sparkling water. And you could take and create a Italian soda type drink. It may not have all the colors, but it could. So I can't remember where I was. And somebody gave me, it was at the restaurant next door. And they had made a drink and they had muddled down the raspberries. And then they muddled down blackberries. And they made my drink and then they bring it to me. And you guys, it was delicious. And it had all this natural color, all of this different looks at it. And it was so delicious. And, you know, so it can be super simple, you guys. Okay, this next one is margaritas. You know me, I love margaritas and I love a more natural tasting one. I participated in a lot of different events where we'll do our downtown businesses will do like a margarita walk. And we've participated for years, and I always try to have something really unique and special. They always have our essential oils in them, and people always come back for more. And what I have found is most people are just opening up that stuff that's on the shelf. And you guys, it's awful, and it's so sweet, and it's got all this artificial color and all this artificial flavor in it and stuff. And so again, like this orange turmeric margarita. Yes, please. All right, so your recipes are up there. And remember, so that simple syrup recipe I gave you earlier, you could use our turmeric oil. And you guys, and so you're taking an essential oil like ginger or turmeric or black pepper. Some of those are a lot stronger in flavor. So make sure you're adding a little bit to your simple syrup. And then once you make it, you could take little bottles, little jars, and you could just have them ready, to be able to just whip up your cocktails really quick. Anytime you're doing something different and you stand out in the crowd, people will remember. So if I'm going to entertain, I want it to be something there. Like it doesn't have to be all of the things, but at least one thing that's going to stand out where they're going to go, oh my gosh, what is that recipe? I've got to have it. Okay, here's another one where we have cocktails or mocktails. And I want you to remember that anytime there's a recipe for a cocktail, you can always leave out the alcohol and add something like, my favorite mixers are ginger ale, I love Fresca or Squirt. I'll use 7-Up sometimes, but I'm usually using more of like a sparkling water and then adding just a little bit of the soda to really get that flavor. But then the secret really is in the garnish and in the essential oil that we are using to power it up. Now, we have a cranberry one up here on the very top, and I want you guys to think about the cranberry juice. That's the cranberry pomegranate, which I absolutely love. And then I'll use the MetaPower, our metabolic blend. You guys, when you look at the essential oils that are in there, it's got ginger, cinnamon, grapefruit, lemon, and peppermint. And it's just a great blend. And, you mix it all up in there, and it might sound a little strange, but before you judge, you got to try it and see which one's going to work out best for you. Okay, now we're going to switch hats a little bit and go into party trays. So it doesn't matter if it's like a cheese dip or, maybe you're making artichoke cheese or jalapeno cheese dip, or, whether it's hummus, which is one of my favorite things, especially for vegetables. It's so easy, you guys, to really enhance those flavors. So this was from an event that we actually had at my house, and Sarah made these really cute vegetable trays. One was in the shape of an owl, the other one was flowers. And what we did is we took and it was a doTERRA event, so we invited people to come and try all the different things. So we had one hummus that was plain, and then we had one hummus that we had added black pepper and lemon, and another one that I believe we had the Italian blend from doTERRA that we had mixed in. And when people see how easy and how simple it is to take something that's just basic and really up it up to the next level by just stirring in a couple of drops of essential oil, it's amazing. And people always go for more. And with this same thing in mind, you can, if you're in a hurry and you're entertaining, one of my favorites is to just grab a pre-made salsa. Now, I still try to find the ones that are still fresh. And then I'll bring it home and I'll taste it. And then I'm adding, a drop of oregano or a drop of lime. There's just little tiny things like that just completely change the flavor and the taste. Okay, now I can't go too far without talking about our honey. We use our spiced honey recipe for all kinds of things. At one point we were calling it spicy orange instead of spiced honey because we wanted to make sure that people knew that it was a year-round recipe. And so the recipe here is for 1 cup of local honey. What I love to do is we make this up in large batches, and then you can put it in smaller containers. I've been really good recently of repurposing all of the glass bottles that come into my house, whether it's pickles or jelly or whatever, and then we're repurposing them and putting things like this in. I'm going to point to the lemonade that's in the middle of the top of the page. You guys, just a little bit of lemonade with a little swirl of our spiced honey changes the entire dynamics of it. You could add a little bit of orange slice to it if you want, just to enhance it a little bit, but a little bit goes a long ways, and you've got those immune boosting benefits. Now, one thing that we've done is we've taken the recipe, and instead of the ginger, cassia, clove, grapefruit, and wild orange, which at any time you guys can change those. You don't have to use all of those oils. You could customize it to whatever you want. But we did one with lemon, lavender, and peppermint. We call it Soothe. And when we sample it to people, they absolutely love it. And so again, I love lavender lemonade. So if you had like a lemonade or an iced tea and you just wanted a little bit of flavor, and you could pre-sweeten or pre-spike your honey, then it's already ready for somebody. And if you're having a gathering, you could make small jars and give it as a hostess gift, or maybe as a come into your party favor. Okay, so then we already talked about adding On Guard to our apples at the very beginning, but now I have two recipes you can find all of these recipes actually, I think, in our recipe book, but On Guard carameled apples. So we have one recipe where we'll put the On Guard on the apples and then dehydrate them. And then we will take the apple that's dehydrated, we'll dip it in caramel, and then we will drizzle it with chocolate. And that chocolate, you could also put On Guard in the chocolate, or you could use cinnamon or cassia or orange, whatever it is that you want to put on there, and drizzle it. And then we just, you can see we just put some chopped nuts on it. Now you can also do something like that as a carameled apple and just have like a fresh slices. How much easier is this for your guests to eat than to bite into a great big huge apple and try to carry that around on a stick for a while? I know as a person who would come and be a friend visiting or whatever, I would much prefer the sliced apples dipped in the caramel and the chocolate in slices on a tray. Now, we have two more party favors that have been crowd favorites for so long, and one of them is pretzels. You guys, it's such a simple thing. You can see here on the bottom, it's kind of hard to tell what the heck that is, but it's the little square pretzels that we line up on waxed paper, and we put them side by side, as many as we can fit on a table, and then we'll take and melt white chocolate or dark chocolate, whatever kind of chocolate you want, but we'll melt it, and we add essential oils to it, and then we kind of drizzle it over the pretzels. Now in this one, we use the same recipe that was a back-a-slide for our honey, but we took the same drops and we just made it into a master blend, and then we just added drops of that master blend into the white chocolate as it was melted, and then we just drizzle it on those pretzels. While the chocolate is still not dry, then we sprinkle we do cinnamon and sugar when we use it for On Guard or our spiced honey. But you can also take that same thing, and you could take your pretzels and you could put like a white chocolate with lemon oil, which would be really refreshing for this time of year when it's hot and it's summery. Of course, it's not going to be a great patio treat, but it would be a great indoor treat because the chocolate would melt. Okay, and then there's popcorn. I wish that we were all where we could see everyone here, because I'd like to say, okay, who here has tried this On Guard popcorn? It is so good, you guys. It's kind of like kettle corn, and the ingredients is listed here, and how to put it together is also listed here. It's so simple to do, and this is the season when it's great to get together, maybe at the park. I know there's people who have big screens. They'll show movies on the side of their houses, or they'll just have kids come over for a slumber party, or maybe you're the grandma, you're going, hey, all the kids can come and do. I just saw a gal who was doing a cousin's party, and I thought, what a fun thing to do is have everybody come over and do some fun, pop the popcorn and watch a fun movie. And as you can see, the kids down on the bottom picture are loving it. Super simple. And you could also take and replace the On Guard oil for your favorite. So maybe, I think of like those peanuts that they roast for the holidays or at different events, and, the cinnamon and the clove and the spice. You could put cinnamon on there. I also have had it, and I like spicy sweet or hot sweet. So I've had it with cinnamon and black pepper, and then the same recipe. Okay, then these are next level cookies. So if you don't want to have just basic Oreos, we found a great way that people absolutely fall in love with these cookies. So during the holiday season, winter seasons, I should say, we use that same recipe for our spiced honey, and we will make it into the white chocolate. We dip the Oreo cookie in it, and then we sprinkle it, just half of it, with cinnamon and sugar. For these cookies, it was for a spring event, and so we do have some of the chocolate Oreos, but we also had the vanilla cookies where we took each one. So we had the yellow was lemon flavored, the orange was tangerine, and the green was lime. And you guys, these are always a crowd pleaser because everybody loves cookies, and we like it at the next level of something, and it's so simple to do. I know Diane's probably going, it is not simple, and the pretzels are not fun. but it is. So once you've done it a few times, or another really great activity to have kids come over and do this as an activity. You could also theme them. You guys, any of this stuff, if somebody was doing like a baby shower or a tea party for kids or a birthday party, you could theme all of this stuff according to, their colors. And I don't know about you, but recently our weather has been a little bit unpredictable. I'm going to say Mother Nature has been a little cranky. And we've gone from being, 90s to the 30s. And so I added this golden milk recipe because if you know about golden milk and turmeric and how beneficial it is for our bodies, this is a super, super great recipe that is really nice. So I just kind of picture, you're having s'mores and a fire pit. This would be a really great addition to that gathering. And it's just warm and very comforting for anyone. What I love about it is, unlike the powder that you can see in the background, you don't have a lot of mess. And so it's super easy to make. You guys, just a couple of tips before we go to the closing of our class tonight is 1 drop of our essential oils is pennies. And when you think of, the fruit and the vegetables, I don't know about you, but the cost of food has gone up so much that every time I'm throwing away a little bit of something, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's like $5. I'm wanting to use every single ounce of what we have. Well, anytime you can use your herbs from a doTERRA bottle or your citrus from a bottle, you're going to be saving even more. There's no expiration date, which means there's no waste. Your food will taste better than it ever has. Anytime I go, people are always like, what's your recipe? And when they see essential oils, sometimes they're like, really? And I'm like, well, only doTERRA. I make sure I let them know. Revamp your recipes by using oils. So going to go through some of the things that you're already making, some of your favorite recipes, and when it calls for cilantro or lime or oregano or something, then you can always reach out to whoever invited you here and get a copy of the usage, the drop per herb ratio, and just start using it. But this is a great challenge. So if you already have essential oils in your home, or maybe you have cinnamon sticks, is take from your herb cupboard, or your spice cupboard, take your sticks of cinnamon out and just open up the lid and smell them. And then I want you to go to your cinnamon powder. And you can taste it, you can just smell it. And then I want you to go to your cinnamon oil. And I want you to do the same and just smell it and compare the difference in the way that each one of them smell and taste. You will be blown away by the difference. And when you hear me say over and over flavor boost, once you do this, you will understand what it is I'm talking about. Now, you may not have, the comparison, but in your cupboard, you probably have something, whether it's thyme oil, oregano. Be careful when you're touching or tasting those hotter oils, though, because it's going to be a lot of power to that drop. Okay. And then lastly, I just want to remind you that everything that you see and read, the labels on some of the packages, the mixes, the drink mixes, are not what they say they are. You want to get as wholesome and as fruity and the real things as you possibly can. That bowl of Fruit Loops is not what you're going to have a life of vitality from. Now, we have our supplements, which I was going to talk about. I don't know where that slide went. Is we have our VMG, and it is that bowl full of fresh fruit. There are so many fruits and vegetables in there, including vitamins and minerals and everything else that you need. It's everything you need that your body can actually absorb. I was talking to the same gal from the nutrition store that I was mentioning earlier, and she's like, our bodies can't absorb most of what's on these shelves. And so it really is important, you guys, that you know what's not only in the box or in the bottle, but is my body able to absorb it and break it down and utilize it as energy. Okay, you guys, we have something called rewards. It is the only way that I buy my essential oils. It's about every 2 months I have at least 300 or 400 points that I get to turn in for free product. You'll see here on the bottom of the screen, there are the free product of the month. So whether you are placing your rewards order and it ships before the 15th of the month for $125, or you're getting that nutritional foundation pack, you'll get one of those for free. This month, our free product, and I'll talk about that in a second, is Deep Blue, and there's a huge value. So we also have, try it before you buy it. When you get your first rewards order of at least 100 PV, you get this free gift, and it has a little sample of some of our top products. I absolutely love it. This is the way that I tried their toothpaste first, and I've been a believer and a user for probably 12 years since then. And then when you also buy the VMG bundle, you can get this really great little shaker bottle and a bottle of peppermint. You guys, one thing I love about doTERRA is they continue to give to us and give to us and give to us. They want to reward us for being good customers, and they reward us way more than any other rewards program. As you can see here on the screen, when you start with your rewards order, you start at 10% and you can go all the way up to 30%. You guys, there is not a company out there who gives you back this much in rewards for what you're purchasing. You can also qualify for free shipping, and you can receive a commission. If you're like me, when I first started doTERRA, I wanted nothing to do with the business. As a matter of fact, I was at no. And then the more benefits it supported my family with, the more I started to reach for it, the more I was like, gosh, I can't not tell people about this. It's so easy to do, you guys. Make sure you reach out and let us know if you're interested in learning how to earn with doTERRA. Now in July, here is our promotions, and we also have some limited time offers. So you'll see on the very bottom of the screen, we have a travel sun kit. You guys, their products for sun are like nothing else on the market. I absolutely love them. There are some of the products that I use year round just for blue light on my computer screen and things like that. We also have by popular demand, Shinrin Yoku has come in a bath bar as well as a hair and beard oil. You guys, this is something that you can max get 4. I got 4 and I kept them. My husband's like, he saw it and I'm like, do you want one? And he's like, yeah. And I went, well, if you're not going to use it, I'm taking it. So anyhow, you guys, it's how much I love it. And then we have Endless Summer that you can buy with the body spray, which is really great. So this time of year, days are longer, we're doing more activities, we're on the go, and so if you want that little bit of refreshment in between where you just want to spritz up a little bit, it's great on your hair, your body, your clothes. You just feel like $1 million after you spray it on. And then I was going to come back to our July promotion because Deep Blue, a 15 ml bottle, sorry, 5 ml bottle with 85 drops is your free gift with your $125 purchase. And in addition to that, in celebration of the 250 years for the nation, you get this adorable little gingham bag that is waterproof. I collect these. I love them. I put them in when I travel, especially. I have my cords in one, and all these different things. I kind of separate things out so I can know what's in it, and I grab it. I have certain ones that are for my dog that I leave next to my desk in the kitchen, and it's just I love these little bags, and that is also free. And I believe that the deep blue is about $40. Tammy, is it more than 40? Yeah, it's right up there as a great thank you gift for everyone. And so if you're watching the replay and it's after July 2026, I'm sorry you missed it. Otherwise, you guys, I would say get in there and make sure you get it. We went through a lot of recipes tonight, which if you're following our YouTube channel, I love that. Thank you so much for watching the YouTube station, for liking us, for sharing us, for all the other things, because that's how we get seen, and this is how we get to share our knowledge of essential oils is when that happens. So we appreciate you guys for showing up for class and for participating. And this is, we've only got less than a dozen of these recipe books left before we'll have to repurchase, and when we do, the price is going to go up because printing has gone outrageous. So if you go to this QR code and put save in at checkout, you can get a discount. You guys, here is our YouTube channel. It's Haley B Essentials 4277. Go in there and look for it, watch our videos, share the videos. Appreciate you guys doing that. And if you are like me, I get busy, and I'm so grateful that I get a text reminder about 15 minutes before class starts. Not only do I love the reminder, but it also has the Zoom link in it, so all I have to do is touch it and I'm connected. That goes to class reminders. You text that to 534-429-5392. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop the share. And I just want to thank you guys for hanging in during this class tonight. There was a lot of information. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking as fast as I can, but I'm a fast talker. I would love it if anybody has any recipes or any tips that they'd like to share with us tonight for entertaining with essential oils. Or if you have any other questions.
I'm just going to say I loved this class tonight. And for those of you that don't know me, I love adding doTERRA products to a lot of the things that I cook or bake. And you talked about oils, but I just wanted to add that I even find myself using, not as people, we don't get enough fiber usually. So, or, we're being told to increase our protein. So I love, even in the little drinks that you had, if you were to make them a, frozen slushy smoothie, whatever, throwing in a little sprinkle, you might not have to use the whole scoop, but just increasing the nutrition by using, I always use our fiber. I always use, we don't have protein powder anymore, but I always added those into all the little things, especially with my grandkids, making a banana bread or zucchini bread, or, it's summer. People always have an abundance of zucchini. We've added oils to pancakes as pancake mixes, but adding a little extra fiber because you guys, the greens and stuff, they taste so good, unlike most. So when you're entertaining, it is also just a great way to add a little extra. You talked about changing it or boosting it with oils, but we have other items that can do the same thing. Entertaining, when you have a lot of people, things are expensive right now. And I know we've talked about it before, but our Terrazyme, which is a supplement, we have family dinners, and sometimes there's, 10 of us, 11 of us, and my family get to pick what they want. So when it's a steak night, gosh, if I bought everybody a top quality ribeye or something like that. But I can use not only our spices in the marinade, but I like to, if I have to get a little bit lesser quality cut of meat, I can open one of our digestive enzymes, Terrazyme, and it'll help tenderize the meat. So I just wanted to say I love incorporating any and all of our products into food. That's
And
it.
it's easy. And while you were talking about the greens, I was thinking, gosh, you could make up the greens, but put it in, even mix it in like a, I don't know, yogurt or or ice cream, and freeze it, or just take it, make it into a slushy. I know the green is kind of a weird color, but it tastes amazing. And if you were having a bunch of people over or a bunch of little kids or something like that, and you want to make sure that they're not just getting a bunch of junk, that would be a fun thing to do, I think.
Yeah, you could make the greens and add add one of the mints to it and make a mint chocolate chip of some kind. I know with my grandkids, I play with that and I add cottage cheese and I blend it for, cold drinks with ice and they don't know the difference. So yeah, I just love playing with it. The sky's the limit, like you said.
What was fun is when I was trying to collect pictures to put into the slides, I scanned or searched on my phone food. And you guys, I had 1,000 pictures of food, and 90% of them were all doTERRA things that we had made at our events and things. Because, I mean, shoot, it's years and years of, collecting all that stuff. But it's so fun to be able to use our pictures, our recipes in being able to teach a class like this. And you guys, we've had lots of different ones for cooking or, all that. So I hope that there was something a little different tonight that you guys are taking away for entertaining. And I just want to remind you to think outside of the box. Like I said earlier, it's like, what could I put in here? I know Tammy's she doesn't have to do that. She's honestly, every time we go out, she's like, ooh, how can I make this better? Especially if people are going, ooh, this cheesecake is so good. How can I improve it? Right? And that lemon zest, sometimes like in the cheesecake, you want to have a little bit of actual lemon zest, but you want to have more of a lemon flavor. So that's where that lemon essential oil could come in and give it that flavor boost without having, a ton of lemon sitting in there. So anyway, anyone else have any questions or anything that they would like to add before we say goodnight?
I'll just jump in real quick. I got kicked out. My internet was acting up, and I know you covered pretty much everything, but my husband does most of the cooking, and he makes curry. And instead of trying to figure out if he's going to be able to find lemongrass in our town, because we live in a little tiny town, he just goes and gets the essential oil and uses that. So yeah, threw that in
Love
there.
it.
Yeah.
Love it. Are you getting rain out there right now, Diane?
No, it just looks like it's going to. Is it raining? No, it's not raining.
We had a huge thunder and rainstorm right before class started. I was wondering if we'd lose power, but I wondered if that's why your internet's kind of shaky because it
That might
rained
be.
hard.
I
Yeah,
I hope it comes this way.
yeah, for sure.
We got a sprinkle yesterday. There's nothing to brag about.
It's like a camping shower. All right, you guys, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. If you guys have any questions, make sure you reach out to the person who invited you. Okay, bye, everybody.